Sometimes, the strongest people are the ones barely holding themselves together in silence. You see them laughing, working, replying normally, but inside there is something collapsing every single day. And the terrifying part is, they become so good at hiding it. Even they forget how damaged they really are. I think that is why lonely people stare into nothing for so long. They are not daydreaming. They are fighting memories. A sentence someone said years ago, a betrayal nobody apologized for, a moment that embarrassed them so deeply, their soul never fully recovered from it. People underestimate emotional exhaustion. Physical pain screams. Emotional pain whispers. And whispers are dangerous because they stay longer. You can distract yourself from sadness for a few hours. Music, noise, crowds, fake smiles. But eventually the night returns. And there you are again, alone with your thoughts. Alone with the feeling that life kept taking pieces of you without giving them back. That feeling changes people. It makes them quieter, colder, more distant. Not evil, just tired. Very tired. And yet, human beings are strange creatures. Even after everything, they still continue. Even after heartbreak, they continue. Even after betrayal, they continue. Even after nights filled with overthinking so loud it feels like torture, they continue. Because somewhere deep inside the human spirit, there is a stubbornness that refuses to die. That is why your worst nights never remain your entire life. Feelings move, pain shifts, wounds scar over. Slowly, painfully, but they do. One morning you wake up, and the thing that once destroyed your sleep barely controls your mind anymore. Not because you forgot, no. You simply became stronger than what once consumed you. And that changes everything. And do you know what makes healing so confusing? It does not happen all at once. There is no dramatic moment, no music, no perfect sunrise where suddenly everything feels okay again. No. Sometimes healing looks pathetic. Sometimes it is just you surviving one more night without falling apart. Sometimes it is forcing yourself to eat when your chest feels empty. Sometimes it is staring at old messages, then finally putting the phone down. People think strength is loud, but honestly, real strength is quiet. It is waking up exhausted and still continuing anyway. It is carrying memories that still hurt without letting them poison your soul completely. And trust me, there are people walking around right now, smiling normally, while fighting battles inside their own heads that would destroy weaker minds. That is why you should never mock silent people. You do not know what they survived privately. Some people became mature because life sat them down and broke their heart repeatedly until they finally understood reality. They learned that attachment can disappear overnight, that promises can evaporate, that humans sometimes leave without even explaining why. And still, the human soul adapts, slowly, painfully, but it adapts. One day, the memories stop stabbing as deeply. One day, your breathing becomes lighter. One day, the same darkness that once terrified you becomes something you can sit beside calmly. Not because you stopped caring, but because suffering taught you endurance. And maybe that is the hidden truth about hard times. They do not only hurt you, they reveal you. They show you how much pain you can survive without completely losing yourself. So if your mind feels tired tonight, if your heart feels unbearably heavy, keep going quietly. Even this version of pain will eventually weaken. You know, some nights are dangerous not because of what happens around you, but because of what happens inside your own head. The overthinking, the replaying, the endless conversations you wish went differently. The human mind is cruel when it becomes exhausted. It drags old wounds out of the grave, then forces you to stare at them again and again. And the worst part? Half the time, you blame yourself for things that were never fully your fault. You wonder if you were too emotional, too available, too kind, too forgiving. But sometimes, you simply gave your heart to people who did not know how to carry it carefully. That is not weakness. That is tragedy. There are people who slowly destroy others emotionally, then act confused when the person becomes distant afterward, as if pain leaves no scars, as if betrayal disappears politely. No, some wounds change the way a human being sees the entire world. After enough disappointment, you stop expecting permanence. You stop believing every smile, every promise, every sweet word whispered during temporary emotions. Because reality teaches harsh lessons. People leave, situations change, feelings fade, and eventually you understand, nothing stays untouched forever. Not happiness, not sadness, not even grief. That is why broken people sometimes become calmer with time. Not because life suddenly became beautiful, but because exhaustion finally teaches acceptance. You stop fighting every memory. You stop reopening every wound. You stop asking why everything happened the way it did. And strangely, that is when breathing becomes easier again. The chest still hurts sometimes. The memories still return sometimes, but they no longer control every second of your existence. And honestly, that quiet progress matters more than people realize. Surviving mentally matters. Getting through another dark night matters. Continuing while emotionally tired matters. So if nobody told you this recently, I am proud of the part of you that kept going, even while secretly struggling. There are memories that do not leave loudly. They stay in small things. A certain hour of the night, a song, a smell, a sentence somebody says without realizing what it awakens inside you. And suddenly, your chest feels heavy again. Not because you are weak, not because you failed to move on, but because human beings are not machines. We remember emotionally. That is the curse of having a deep heart. You can understand something logically and still hurt from it emotionally. You can tell yourself it is over. You can tell yourself they did not deserve your loyalty, and still, part of you mourns what could have been. That part hurts quietly, especially at night, especially when the world slows down enough for hidden emotions to crawl back to the surface. That is why lonely nights feel longer than normal days, because silence removes distractions, and once distractions disappear, people are forced to face themselves, their regrets, their disappointments, their fears. Most people are terrified of silence for that exact reason. Silence reveals things noise keeps hidden. It reveals how tired you really are, how much pressure you have been carrying privately, how badly you wanted somebody to understand you without needing an explanation. But life does not always give closure. Sometimes people disappear without apologizing. Sometimes love ends without fairness. Sometimes pain arrives without warning. And still, human beings continue somehow. That is what makes the human spirit frighteningly strong. Even after emotional destruction, it still searches for light again. Even after betrayal, it still wants connection again. Even after nights filled with sadness so heavy it becomes physical, the heart still keeps beating. That matters more than you think. Because survival is not always dramatic. Sometimes survival is simply refusing to let darkness turn you into someone completely empty. And honestly, if you are still here fighting your thoughts, instead of surrendering to them completely, then there is already strength inside you. Maybe exhausted strength, maybe damaged strength, but strength. And one day, you will look back at this version of yourself with compassion instead of pain. You know what people rarely admit? Sometimes, the hardest battle in life is not making money, not becoming successful, not proving people wrong. Sometimes the hardest battle is simply staying emotionally alive after everything you experienced. Because pain changes the nervous system. It changes the way you react to voices, to disappointment, to silence, to being ignored. A deeply hurt person can smile normally while internally preparing for abandonment every single day. That kind of exhaustion is invisible. Nobody applauds it. Nobody sees the mental war behind your calm face. They only see the version of you that kept functioning. Not the nights, not the shaking breaths, not the overthinking, not the moments where you sat alone trying to calm your own mind because nobody else knew how. And eventually, something inside you matures painfully. You stop expecting people to save you emotionally. That realization hurts at first, a lot, because every human being secretly wants comfort, understanding, safety. But life teaches some people to become their own emotional shelter. That is why certain souls become quieter with age. Not boring, not empty, just careful. Careful with attachment, careful with trust, careful with how much of themselves they reveal to the world, because they learned how quickly kindness can be misunderstood or exploited. And honestly, There is something deeply tragic about becoming emotionally strong. The stronger you become, the less people realize how much pain created that strength. Nobody sees the sleepless nights behind wisdom. Nobody sees the heartbreak behind emotional control. Nobody sees how many times you almost broke completely before becoming calm. Calm people are not always peaceful people. Sometimes they are simply people who survived enough chaos to stop reacting loudly. That silence, that distant look in their eyes, it usually has a history behind it. A history they rarely explain. Because explaining pain repeatedly becomes exhausting after a while. So eventually, you carry it quietly. You carry the memories quietly, the grief quietly, the disappointment quietly. And step by step, the wound stops bleeding as heavily as before. Not because it vanished, but because time slowly teaches the heart how to survive around the scar. That is what healing truly looks like. Not forgetting, not magically becoming happy forever. No. Healing is reaching a point where the memory no longer controls your breathing, where the sadness no longer owns every hour of your night, where you can finally sit in silence without feeling destroyed by your own thoughts. And maybe that day arrives slower than people expect. Maybe it takes months, maybe years. But emotional storms cannot remain violent forever. Even storms become tired eventually. So if your soul feels heavy tonight, if your mind feels trapped inside old pain, please understand this carefully. The version of you suffering right now is not the final version of you. One day, your breathing will soften again. One day, your mind will stop replaying the same wounds every night. One day, the darkness that currently feels endless will become a memory you survived. And when that day comes, you will finally understand how powerful it was that you refused to give up during the worst parts of your life. There is another kind of sadness people never talk about. The sadness of becoming unfamiliar to yourself. One day you wake up and realize life changed the way you laugh, changed the way you trust, changed the way you enter rooms, changed the way you look at people when they promise they will stay. Because experience teaches caution, and pain teaches distance. Not dramatic distance, quiet distance. The kind where you still answer messages, still smile politely, still function normally, but emotionally, you stand far away from everyone. That happens when the heart gets tired of disappointment. When somebody keeps giving loyalty to temporary people. When somebody keeps bleeding emotionally in silence while pretending everything is fine. And honestly, some people become addicted to pretending they are okay, pretending they are healing, pretending they no longer care. But late at night, the performance collapses. That is when the real thoughts arrive. The memories, the regrets, the invisible grief nobody else notices. And grief is strange. Sometimes you are not grieving a person. Sometimes you are grieving the version of yourself that existed before the pain happened. The softer version, the trusting version, the version that believed effort guaranteed loyalty. Life can take that innocence away quietly, not through one tragedy, but through repeated disappointment, repeated abandonment, repeated emotional exhaustion. After enough of that, the soul changes shape. You stop chasing attention. You stop begging people to understand you. You stop trying to explain wounds to people who never intended to listen deeply anyway. And strangely, that loneliness teaches wisdom. Painful wisdom, heavy wisdom, but wisdom. You begin understanding that everything in life moves. People move, feelings move, seasons move, pain moves. Nothing stays frozen forever, even when the night feels endless. That realization saved more people than motivation ever did. Because hope is not always loud. Sometimes hope is just quietly surviving until your emotions settle again. Sometimes hope is simply believing your current suffering is not permanent. And it is not. I know there are nights where sadness feels physical, where your chest tightens for no clear reason, where memories replay so intensely you feel trapped inside your own mind. I know there are moments where exhaustion becomes so deep, even speaking feels difficult, where smiling feels like labor, where existing feels heavier than it should. And yet, look at you. You are still here, still breathing, still enduring, still carrying weight that would mentally destroy many people. Do not underestimate that. Survival is not weak. Quiet endurance is not weak. Getting through another painful night without losing yourself completely is not weak. In fact, some of the strongest human beings are the ones nobody notices. The ones fighting silent battles while acting normal in public. The ones calming their own panic attacks privately. The ones crying quietly, then washing their face before speaking again. The ones carrying heartbreak without turning cruel. That takes strength. Real strength. Not the loud kind social media worships, the private kind. The kind built in darkness. And maybe one day, all the pain you survived will soften your heart instead of hardening it completely. Maybe one day the nights will feel lighter. Maybe one day your breathing will stop carrying so much pressure. Maybe one day you will sit alone in silence and finally feel peace instead of emotional war. But until then, be patient with yourself. Healing minds do not move in straight lines. Some nights hurt again. Some memories return again. Some wounds ache unexpectedly. That does not mean you failed. It means you are human. And humans recover slowly. So tonight, if your thoughts feel heavy, if your soul feels exhausted from carrying invisible pain, close your eyes for a moment and remember this quietly. Even the darkest emotional seasons eventually pass through the human heart. You know what truly terrifies people? Not darkness, not failure. Being emotionally seen. Because once somebody truly sees your pain, your fears, your loneliness, you become vulnerable. And vulnerability in this world can feel dangerous. That is why so many broken people hide behind humor, behind sarcasm, behind fake confidence, behind constant distraction. Because if they stop performing for even a moment, the sadness catches up. And some sadness is old, very old. The kind carried for years without words. Childhood disappointments, friendships that ended painfully, love that slowly became cold. Moments where you needed someone desperately and nobody came. People underestimate how long emotional abandonment stays inside the nervous system.